Here we are at Formby Old Golf Club, and I'm here to interview the most successful manager in Everton's history. A man who was responsible for bringing me to this great club. It is Howard Kendall. Good morning, boss.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, all the former players, myself included, still relate to him as the boss. In my eyes, he'll always be the boss.
It's a very big compliment, actually, when players, especially when you've sold them, come back and say, "Well, hello, boss." You know, it's a compliment.
I suppose it is, Gaffer. I think it shows that what you did for their career, what they thought of you as a manager. It must be.
Yeah, and the reasons why. Sometimes, you know, you feel as if as a manager you've got to make difficult decisions, and some of them are when you have to possibly do a deal and make an exchange or sell someone to gain money. I mean, Steve McMahon was one example. Aston Villa wanted him. They were offering £300,000, and I wanted Trevor Stephen from Burnley, and I didn't have the £300,000. And I had to decide whether or not it was Steve McMahon or Trevor Stephen. And, you know, I went for Trevor.
Yeah,
With difficult decisions.
Yeah, well, that's why you were a top manager. You had to deal with them kind of decisions. But just before we go into your management, I want to start about your playing career, because I've seen clips. You were a successful player. You were a very good player in my eyes. But how did the move from Preston North End come to Everton?
No, I think that I was lucky. You know, when you talk about a playing career, I mean, I was very fortunate to play in a cup final in 1964. Became the youngest. It was a tremendous occasion.
How did you feel about that at such a young age?
The players themselves, the other players, I mean, really protected me from the media and everything, you know, and it was totally focused on the game. And I was confident enough. I'd been in the first team a few games. I'd scored the winning goal against Nottingham Forest in a cup replay.
Bobble?
I think it was a
bobble or a good finish?
Oh. What do you think?
I think it was a good finish.
I think so as well. Most people thought that as well. But no, Peter Grummett was the goalkeeper, and just snow-covered ground. Put it in the top corner and 1-0. But I didn't expect to play in the cup final because Ian Davidson was a regular. And for some reason or other, they'd found out that he didn't want to play the week before, and he was suspended. And it was harsh, that. You know, if you're a regular in the team and you're suspended for a cup final, well, you've helped to get there.
Yeah.
I thought that was harsh. But you get out there and you do your best. We were in the lead twice. Lost 3-2 in the last couple. I'm glad it didn't go to extra time.
I know it's a proud moment for yourself, but for your parents at such a young age, imagine how they felt.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it was. I mean, it started me off really by trying to think about going to the higher level, and I had about a season and a half again at Preston, and then all of a sudden, because I mean after so fewer games, there must have been a doubt when people watch you. So they were waiting a little bit, and then Liverpool were mentioned every week.
I'm sure it weren't just at Everton.
It's similar to you.
There must have been a
similar
few
to you, actually.
Yeah.
Because Liverpool were very keen on you, and we both agreed the same deal when I became a manager at Everton.
Yeah.
I had that decision. Well, I didn't have a decision to make because Jimmy Milne, the manager at Preston, Gordon Milne's father, said that Harry Catterick and Harry Cook were at Deepdale, Preston, waiting to talk to you. So I didn't have a real choice.
Yeah. Much persuasion signing for Everton?
No, because I would be playing for Preston at Plymouth because it was a deadline day.
Oh, right.
So that was
So you didn't fancy Plymouth?
That was an easy decision.
I don't want to jump the gun too much, because I know you had many games, but the three of you in midfield. That's all anybody talks about. When I signed for the club, it was even my dad when I was coming for talks, when Paul, Kendall and Harvey, he said they were sensational players. He said you've got something to live up to there, because the Evertonians will expect you as a midfield player to be as good as them three. What a midfield three you were.
I think that's down to Harry Catrick.
Right.
In all fairness, I think that...
what was he like, Harry Catrick?
Distant.
Was
you
he?
didn't know him. Never got to know him. Very rarely came on the training ground. But I think that his knowledge of football and the way that he brought in players to play with a balance in the team was something that you'll never forget. And that's something I took into management. You know, you have to have a balance. I mean, Colin was already at the club. He'd already bought Bawley after the World Cup final, and I was the third one. But as Brian Bone used to say, we were the only three-man team that won the league. I mean, it was just headlines every week. And I mean, after we'd played Los Tres Magnificos and things like that, like, you know.
What were the strengths?
But it was a great team.
Oh, fantastic!
It was a great team. It wasn't just the three of us.
No, it was a fantastic team. But what were the strengths of you three individually? What were your strengths? What was Colin's strengths? And what were Paulie's strengths?
Yeah, I think Colin was a gifted player. He had Johnny Morrissey outside him. I think that suited Colin. I worked the right-hand side. I was more of a defensive player than Colin, but Paulie did the lot. I mean, he covered a lot of ground, scored a lot of goals, and for me, he was the best player I ever played with.
Yeah?
Yeah, without a doubt.
That is some statement. Some statement.
I didn't play with you, did I?
No, well, you didn't, unfortunately. Well, you did in training now and again.
All right.
I've seen enough in training to suggest you weren't.
All right, fair enough.
But, so, in between you leaving as a player to coming back as a manager, just give us a couple of minutes in between what clubs you went to and...
Well, I moved on to Birmingham in a deal with Bob Latchford, and I think that short term it worked out for Birmingham.
Yeah.
Longer term, it worked out for Everton, because Bob Latchford was a superb centre forward. Then went on to Stoke, where I got the offer of a player coaching job with Alan Durbin. And we got promotion in the first season, missed out on the second season with the last game, and he said to me, he says, I don't think you'll continue playing. You know, we got promotion in the second season. So he says, I don't think you're capable of playing in the top flight. So I said, fair enough. And then Blackburn came in and offered me the player manager's job, and they'd just been relegated.
Right.
So I thought, well, I can play in the third division. You know, may not be able to play in the first division. So I took up the opportunity to go to Blackburn, and we bounced back up to the second division in the first season and missed out on goal difference in the second one before I came to Everton.
How did you find player manager? Because I did it for a short spell at Doncaster, and I found it incredibly hard, even at that level, to be player manager. How did you cope with both things?
I enjoyed it.
Right.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I think that if you're a manager of a football club, I mean, the day-to-day working of the club is pretty hectic, and you're out there with the players and you're working with the players in training. But I felt that getting out on the field with them on match day was a relief. I was quite happy with that. I know very difficult early doors when things are going wrong in a game. The players are all turning around to you and saying, well, you're the boss. Yeah. You know, you sort it out. You know, I say, I can't, I'm one of you. You know. Yeah. So after a little while, they accepted that.
Right.
You know, I was one of them on the field.